All right, so let's dive into millionaires.
Millionaires.
You know, when you hear that word, what do you picture?
Oh gosh, yeah. What comes to mind?
I bet it's like a mansion, a yacht, a fleet of fancy cars.
Oh, yeah.
It's Hollywood.
Totally. Hollywood's given us this image.
Yeah, totally.
Of what it means to be a millionaire.
But what if most millionaires don't actually live like that at all?
Right.
That's what we're going to be looking into today.
Yeah, we're going
in our deep dive.
Uncover the truth behind how millionaires really live and how they actually built their wealth.
We're diving into a book called The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh, classic.
Which flips the script on those flashy stereotypes.
Yeah, this book.
That we all think of.
This book is really about,
you
know, kind of busting those myths and really looking at the data of who these people are.
I was reading the intro and it mentions that many millionaires live in totally ordinary neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have one living next door, you wouldn't even know it.
That's the reality, the surprising reality that this book reveals. And it's not just speculation.
Yeah.
The authors actually did extensive research. They studied actual millionaires to understand their habits and mindsets.
So like real data, not just anecdotes.
Real data, and that's what makes it so fascinating.
So right off the bat, we're debunking the myth of the millionaire as some celebrity or like trust fund kid, right?
Totally. Right. We're not talking about, you know, celebrities or inheritances here.
Yeah.
We're talking about small business owners, professionals, people who might look a lot like you or me.
Okay, so maybe not rocking the private jet.
Right.
But building wealth quietly in an unassuming way.
Exactly. It's the millionaire next door.
This is already making me rethink my assumptions.
I think it does that for everyone.
Yeah.
It's a real eye-opener, and that's just the beginning.
Okay.
The book lays out these 7 key habits that these millionaires share. They call them the 7 habits of highly effective wealth builders.
I love it. Okay, so habit number 1.
Let's hear it.
Living below your means.
Okay.
Now, before everyone listening starts thinking this is about deprivation, hear me out.
Yeah, it's not about being cheap or you know, living a miserable life. It's about making smart choices.
Exactly.
The book gives this great example. Imagine a millionaire driving a 10-year-old Toyota Camry.
Okay.
They value reliability and financial freedom over showing off.
Practical.
It's about practicality and long-term thinking.
You know, I have to admit, I do fall into the trap of wanting the newest gadgets sometimes.
I think we all do.
You know.
It's so tempting.
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to channel my inner Camry driver.
Maybe we all do.
All right, so that's living below your means. What is habit number 2?
So habit number 2 is allocating your time, energy, and money efficiently.
Millionaires are intentional with their resources.
So intentional. It's not just about like randomly spending or doing things. They have a plan.
So it's more than just budgeting. It's about like having this long-term vision.
Absolutely. And sticking to it.
And sticking to it.
Yes.
This is where like the learner in me is like, yeah. I love a plan. Give me a good plan.
I love that.
But I'm curious about the psychology of wealth.
Right.
The book talks about prioritizing financial independence over social status.
Okay. Yeah.
And that feels like a major shift from what we see all over social media these days.
It's a huge shift. It's almost a countercultural idea.
Right.
We're bombarded with images of, you know, lavish lifestyles and conspicuous consumption. But this book contrasts that with what it calls the high consumption trap.
Ooh. So you could have someone like a doctor or a lawyer who makes a great income, but spends most of it trying to maintain a certain image.
Exactly. They might look rich, but have very little actual wealth.
Okay, that's a serious aha moment right there.
It's a big one.
All right, lay some more on me.
Yeah. Okay, you ready for another surprise?
Yes.
The book found that many millionaires didn't receive much financial help from their parents.
Okay.
No big inheritances or handouts.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we often hear these stories about people inheriting wealth or getting help from family to get ahead.
Yes. And while that certainly happens, the book emphasizes that a lot of these millionaires are self-made. They learned financial discipline early on, and that really shaped their path.
Interesting. So it's like more about building that financial muscle than relying on a safety net.
It's about resilience and resourcefulness.
Which makes me wonder, how did these millionaires raise their own kids?
Oh, that's a great question, and that's the next habit we'll unpack.
Okay.
And it's a fascinating one. The book found that millionaires in the study were more likely to focus on teaching their kids financial responsibility rather than just spoiling them.
So no, like, trust funds or lavish allowances?
Not exactly. It's more about instilling the value of hard work, smart financial choices, and building wealth through their own efforts.
So it's like empowering their kids to be financially independent.
Exactly. It's about equipping them with the skills and the mindset to create their own success stories.
Okay, this next habit, I'm really curious
to
hear your take.
Okay.
The book describes millionaires as proficient at spotting market opportunities.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What does that look like in real life?
So in real life, it's more than just being good with investments.
Okay.
They have this knack for seeing opportunities where others might not. Whether that's in starting a business, investing in real estate, or simply being attuned to trends.
It's like they have a sixth sense for potential.
They do. It's like they can kind of sense where things are going.
Yeah.
And they're often entrepreneurial. They're thinking outside the box. They're willing to take calculated risks.
The book tells a story about a millionaire who noticed a growing demand for organic pet food in his neighborhood.
Oh, interesting.
And he invested in a small business catering to that need, and, well, the rest is history.
That's a perfect example of seeing a need and filling it.
It's not just working hard.
And it's working smart.
It's working smart.
Yes, being strategic.
Okay, so maybe I need to start paying more attention to what's happening in my neighborhood.
Right.
Who knows? Maybe there's a booming market for artisanal bird feeders just waiting to be tapped.
You never know. You could be sitting on a gold mine.
Okay, habit number 7.
Get me.
Choosing the right occupation.
Okay.
I'm guessing this isn't just about chasing the highest paying jobs, right?
You're right. It's not just about the income a job provides, but also the opportunities it creates for building wealth.
So a job that allows you to live below your means
Exactly.
and invest the difference could be a better path to wealth than a high-paying job with high expenses.
It's about thinking strategically about your career path and how it aligns with your financial goals.
Right.
Some professions, even with high salaries, come with this pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle that can make it difficult to build wealth.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's about finding that balance.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to career planning.
I think it does that for a lot of people.
So we've covered these 7 habits, and they're fascinating.
Yeah.
But the book takes it a step further with this concept of PAWs versus UAWs.
Yes, they do.
Right.
They introduce these 2 categories.
Yeah.
Prodigious accumulators of wealth, or PAWs.
PAWs.
And under accumulators of wealth, or UAWs.
UAWs. Okay, so PAWs versus UAWs.
Exactly.
This isn't just about how much money you make.
You got it.
It's about your mindset towards money.
It's all about mindset. A PAW might have a modest income, but manages to build significant wealth through disciplined saving and investing, while a UAW might have a high income, but struggles to accumulate wealth because of excessive spending.
Okay. I have to ask, where do you think you fall on that spectrum?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Are you a PAW or a UAW?
Well, I certainly strive to be a PAW.
Yeah.
I think, though, we all have moments where we might lean one way or the other, right?
Totally. It's all about being aware.
Yes.
And making those conscious choices.
Absolutely. But sometimes this stuff can feel a bit overwhelming.
Right.
You know, where do we even begin?
Yeah, that's where the Millionaire Next Door really shines.
Yes, it does.
It gives us concrete steps.
Right.
We can take no matter what our income level is.
That's what's so great about it.
Okay, so give me the goods.
Okay, are you ready?
What are some of those actionable takeaways?
All right, so the first one is probably the most obvious, but also the most important.
Okay.
Spend less than you earn.
I mean, it sounds simple enough.
It does.
But I know so many people, myself included, who struggle with this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that impulse buy at the checkout line gets me every time.
I know the checkout line is dangerous.
It really is.
But the key is to make it a habit.
Right.
You know, not just a one-time thing.
Right.
And remember, even small, consistent savings can add up over time.
It's all about consistency.
Yes, consistency is key.
And that's where I think my love for planning and structure comes in.
Oh, I love that.
Budgeting suddenly feels less like a chore and more like a superpower.
It is a superpower.
Right.
And that leads us to the next piece of advice. Invest wisely and consistently.
Okay.
Millionaires don't rely on just their job for income.
Right.
They're investing in things like stocks, real estate businesses.
You know, I've always been a little bit intimidated by investing.
Oh, yeah, it can be intimidating.
What does that actually look like in real life?
It can feel really complicated.
Yeah.
But the good news is it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
One of the things the book talks about is diversification.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that means spreading your investments across different asset classes to manage risk.
Okay, so not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly right. Spread them out.
So no get-rich-quick schemes.
Definitely not. Millionaires tend to be very patient and disciplined. With their investments, they understand that building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint.
Okay, slow and steady wins the race.
Yes.
Now, the book is pretty clear about its stance on debt, right?
Oh, yeah. Avoid it like the plague. That's the general message.
Okay.
But it's important to understand the nuances here.
Yeah.
Millionaires aren't necessarily completely debt-free,
Okay.
but they use debt strategically. They avoid impulsive borrowing
Right.
and focus on using debt to build wealth, not drain it.
So like using a mortgage to buy a property or taking out a loan to start a business?
Those are great examples. They see debt as a tool to be used wisely,
Okay.
not something to be feared.
So it's all about being intentional with it.
Exactly. And making sure that debt is working for you, not against you.
This is all making a lot more sense now.
Good. I'm glad.
It's like really clicking.
That's the beauty of this book.
Yeah.
It breaks down these complex financial concepts
Yeah.
into actionable steps. And speaking of which, the book really emphasizes the importance of budgeting and planning.
So budgeting isn't just for people who are struggling financially.
Not at all. Even millionaires who are already wealthy
Oh, wow.
tend to be very disciplined about tracking their spending
Okay.
and making sure they're staying on track with their goals.
This is making me want to dust off my old budgeting spreadsheet.
I love it.
I used to think that fancy coffee every day was a necessity.
Oh, yeah.
But after reading this, I'm starting to rethink my priorities.
It's all about those small adjustments.
Yeah.
That can have a big impact over time.
Small adjustments, big impact. Okay, I like that.
Right.
Now, the book also touches on something a bit more personal.
Oh, okay.
Choosing the right spouse as a factor in wealth building.
Interesting.
Before anyone listening starts to panic,
Right.
we're not talking about marrying for money here, right?
Absolutely not. It's about finding a partner who shares your financial values
Okay.
and goals.
So someone who's on board with living below your means, investing for the future.
Exactly.
Maybe skipping that daily latte.
Maybe so. When you have two people working together towards the same financial goals,
Yeah.
it can make a huge difference.
It's about teamwork.
It's about teamwork and shared vision.
I love it. This has been so insightful.
It's a fascinating book.
We're really starting to unpack
Yes.
what it truly means to be a millionaire next door.
And we're just scratching the surface.
Right?
There's so much more to explore.
But one of the things that stood out to me
Yeah.
is that anyone can build wealth.
Absolutely.
It's not about luck or privilege. It's about
It's about habits,
habits.
mindset, and making consistent choices
Yeah.
that support your financial goals.
You know what really struck me?
Yeah.
The book emphasizes that building wealth is a journey, not a destination.
It's a process.
It's a process.
And it's about making sustainable changes
Yes.
that fit into your life and enjoying the process along the way.
Not depriving yourself,
Right?
but finding those things that you actually enjoy.
Yes, and aligning your spending with your values.
Yeah.
And making choices that bring you both financial and personal satisfaction.
So for our listener out there who's probably taking notes right now,
Right.
what's one concrete step they could take today to start shifting towards that PAW mindset?
That's a great question. There's so many things we could suggest.
Yeah.
But maybe one of the simplest and most effective is to track your spending for a month.
Okay.
Just see where your money is actually going.
I love that.
It's about awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about getting that clear picture of your current habits.
Yes.
So you can start making more conscious choices.
And once you have that awareness, you can start setting small, achievable goals for yourself.
Right.
Maybe it's cutting back on unnecessary expenses or starting a small savings plan.
Yeah.
Or even just learning more about investing.
It's about taking those first steps.
Yes.
And building momentum over time.
And remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Right.
Start small, be consistent, and celebrate your progress along the way.
That's the beauty of this whole approach.
I think so.
It's about sustainable change.
Yes.
It's not about like,
Right.
going on a crash diet and,
exactly.
restricting yourself.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle
It's about making choices that you can stick with for the long haul
that you can stick with
and that feel good,
and that feel good.
that bring you joy.
I love it.
So I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Just that simple act of tracking your spending can be really eye-opening.
Yeah, just being aware of where your money's going.
Exactly. And once you have that information, you can start making those intentional choices.
I love it.
About where you want your money to go.
This is great.
Yeah.
So much good stuff in this book.
That's a classic for a reason.
We're going to unpack even more of it.
Yes, we are.
In our next part, so make sure you tune in.
Stay tuned.
To learn even more about the Millionaire Next Door.
We'll be right back. It really is about finding that sweet spot, you know?
Yeah.
Between being financially responsible and enjoying life, right? We're not all trying to be like, you know, super frugal.
Oh, Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, Scrooge McDuck. Yeah,
Exactly. It's about making choices that feel good to you.
Right. And align with your values.
Yes.
I think that's really important.
It is. And your long-term goals, too.
Yeah.
And remember, you know, financial freedom doesn't have to look the same for everyone.
That's true.
It's about defining what that means for you.
Yeah. And speaking of definitions,
yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to that PAW versus UAW concept.
Okay. Yeah.
It's such a powerful framework for understanding our own financial habits.
I think so. And it's not about judging ourselves.
Right.
Or feeling bad if we identify more with the UAW side.
Yeah.
It's about awareness.
Yes.
And making those small changes that can have a big impact over time.
So for our listener who's been with us on this journey, if you could pick just one of these millionaire habits we've talked about.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Which would you say has the biggest impact on someone's life right now? That is a great question. And it's tough to choose just one.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on the individual and their circumstances and their priorities. But if I had to pick one, I would probably say living below your means.
Yeah.
It's such a foundational habit.
Right.
That really opens up so many possibilities.
It creates that breathing room.
It does.
To do other things like save and invest.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to mean drastic lifestyle changes either.
Right.
It's often about just those small adjustments.
Yeah.
Being more mindful of where your money is going.
Being more intentional.
Intentional, yes. And finding joy in simpler things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about deprivation. It's about making choices that align with your values.
I love it.
And finding that contentment.
This whole deep dive has really shifted my perspective on wealth.
Well, good. I'm glad.
It's not about, like, you know, the things, the fancy cars.
Yeah.
The mansions, all of that.
It's about something deeper.
It's about the feeling.
Right.
It's about the freedom.
It's about the freedom and the security.
Yeah.
And that peace of mind that comes from.
That quiet confidence.
Yes.
Knowing that you're in control.
Exactly.
Of your finances.
And I hope our listener is feeling that too.
Yeah.
You know, feeling empowered, knowing that they can achieve their financial goals.
Yeah.
It's not about luck or privilege.
Right.
It's about taking control and making choices that align with their values.
I love that.
So embrace that millionaire next door mindset.
Yes.
Start small, be consistent, and watch your wealth grow.
And remember,
yes,
the journey to financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
Enjoy the process, celebrate your successes.
Absolutely.
And know that you don't have to do it alone.
There are so many resources out there.
Right.
Communities and even podcasts like ours.
To support you.
To support you on your journey.
We're all in this together.
We are.
So keep learning, keep growing.
Keep going.
And keep striving toward that financial freedom.
It's within your reach.
That's within your reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is about finding that balance.
Right.
Like, you know, you can still enjoy life.
Exactly.
You don't have to completely deprive yourself.
You don't have to live like a monk.
Yeah, right.
To be a millionaire.
You know, we were talking about that millionaire.
Right.
Who drove the 10-year-old Camry.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you could still enjoy.
So still enjoy a nice meal out. You know, you could still travel.
Yeah.
It's just about making those conscious choices.
Right. And it's about
where you spend your money.
Yeah. And it's also about realizing that, you know, financial freedom doesn't have to look the same for everyone.
That's such an important point.
It's about what's important to you.
Absolutely. It's about defining what that means for you.
Right.
What are your values?
Exactly.
What are your goals?
Yeah, and speaking of definitions,
you
know, before we wrap up this deep dive
on
the Millionaire Next Door, I want to come back to that PAW versus UAW concept.
I love that concept.
Yeah.
It's so helpful.
It really is, and it's so eye-opening.
It is.
It's not about judging ourselves.
No.
Like if we realize like, oh,
Right.
I'm more of a UAW than a PAW.
We all have our tendencies.
Right. It's about,
right.
okay, now that I'm aware of this,
Right.
what can I start to shift?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about that awareness and then
Yeah.
taking those small steps to make those changes.
So for our listener out there who's been on this journey with us today, if you could pick just one
Just one.
of these millionaire habits
That's tough.
that we've talked about
It is tough.
to have the biggest impact on their life right now, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. This is such a good question.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to pick just one because they're all so interconnected. But if I had to choose just one,
Okay.
I think I would go back to that foundation
Okay.
of living below your means.
Okay.
It's just so essential. It really is the cornerstone of building wealth.
Because it allows you to do all of the other things.
It does. It frees up your resources.
Yeah.
It gives you that flexibility to make choices.
You're not living paycheck to paycheck.
Right. You're not constantly stressed
Yeah.
about money.
It really is about that peace of mind.
It is.
And you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be about deprivation.
It doesn't.
You can still
It's about finding joy
enjoy life
in the simple things.
and be intentional
right.
about your choices.
And aligning your spending with your values.
Yeah.
Right. Spending money on things that actually matter to you.
You know what I love about this whole deep dive?
Yeah.
It's really shifted my perspective on what wealth is.
Oh, I'm so glad.
It's not about the stuff.
It's not about the bling.
It's not about the bling. Yeah, it's about
something much deeper.
Yeah, it's about that feeling of security and freedom.
Yes, that quiet confidence. That comes from knowing you're in control of your finances.
Exactly.
And you're building a life that you love.
I love that. And, I hope that our listeners feeling that too.
I hope so too.
That they're walking away from this deep dive feeling empowered.
Empowered and inspired.
And inspired.
To take action.
Yeah, knowing.
Right.
They can achieve their financial goals.
Absolutely. It's possible for anyone.
It's not about luck.
It's not about luck. It's not about where you started.
It's not about privilege.
It's about making those choices.
It's about taking control
yes.
of your finances and your life.
And your future.
Yeah.
So to our listener out there,
we
challenge you to embrace that millionaire next door mindset.
Yes. Start small. Be consistent.
And watch your wealth grow.
And remember,
yes,
the journey to financial freedom is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
So enjoy the process.
Yes.
Celebrate your successes.
Yes.
And know that you don't have to do it alone.
We're all in this together.
They are.
There's a whole community of people out there who are on this journey with you.
So keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
Keep growing and keep going.
And keep striving towards that financial freedom that is within your reach.
It is, absolutely.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Millionaire Next Door.
It's been a pleasure.
And until next time, keep on learning and growing.
And building that wealth.